Michael Vick here at BetUS.com. Get it all. Huge bonuses, great odds, a race book, live in-game betting, and a casino. BetUS, my online sports book and casino.
You're listening to All Chiefed Up.
This video is brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino.
Chiefs Kingdom. We're all chiefed up, and we're back with another live podcast for that ass, powered by BetUS. Mike, the Chiefs have signed back Juju Smith-Schuster.
Yeah, they did.
For hopefully pennies. And there's a lot to unpack here, man. Like, there's a lot of questions that brought up.
Here's what I want to unpack first. The Chiefs and Brett Veach this entire offseason has been a thorn in my side. Every time we record something and have it ready to go, they will bomb it like Pearl Harbor 5 minutes before something goes live. They've done
Every
this over
time.
and over. I don't care if it's 2 in the morning, 11 p.m., or 9 a.m. They're just all over. Brett Veach, you couldn't have slept in today. You couldn't have just slept in a little bit, let me had it. You know, you just couldn't do it. You had to get it out there and say, hey, Juju's here. Steve, are you excited for Juju?
No. But anyway, before we get started.
You're not. You're not even excited about it. That going.
I was still thinking about all the whole day's work yesterday getting flushed down the toilet. But anyway, appreciate you guys being here hanging out. We're kind of on here midday, a little earlier than usual. But we see you guys in here. We appreciate you. Do us a favor and hit the like button for us. It only takes a second. And also, if you're not subscribed to the channel, you should do that because we do a lot of Chief stuff all year long. And you want to ride this whole three-peat season out with all Chiefed up, baby. It's going to be fun. But yeah, Mike, let's go ahead and start unraveling this bad boy. I guess the first question that brings up is why. And there's a lot of different things you can ask why. Do you think – I'll just bring up a couple scenarios, and I want to hear your thoughts on them. But do you think it's because Hollywood Brown maybe going to the IR for 4 weeks?
I don't think that is what they're looking for. I don't think Hollywood and Juju Smith-Schuster, I don't think those two are similar games. So I don't think that's a direct one-per-one replacement right there. And that does lead me into the whole everybody thinking Rashee Rice could now be suspended. That's not happening either. I don't think they're worried about the Rashee Rice suspension because he's not even appeared in court. That would be so far out of left field for the NFL and Roger Goodell to do at this point. So
Would it surprise you, though?
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me because it is the Chiefs and they're going to try to hammer it. But look, the Chiefs are also a big moneymaker. You can only have so much. Are we the guys that you script it for and we get all the calls, or are we the guys you're trying to trounce? So which one is it? Like, there's only so many narratives that can go around. Personally, I don't think either of it's right, and I think it just goes down the middle. And if Goodell goes down the middle, he's not going to be suspended anytime soon. Now, it could happen later in the year, and then that makes you wonder why you would sign Juju right now. I think the timing of everything is what I find very weird, Steve, because we're 1 day from roster cuts. They have to be final tomorrow at 3 p.m. Central. And you just signed Juju. He comes in today and has his first practice. We got a photo of him. He comes in, he rips Louis Reese-Zamet's jersey right off his back, okay? He says, give me that number 9 back. I'm going to take it.
He said, you're going to the practice squad anyway, bro.
He practices one time, and this dude is already guaranteed a roster spot with all kinds of injury concerns and knee concerns, and he wasn't productive last year, and then he's just going to come in and be guaranteed a spot, and you're saying he's every bit as good as wide receiver 6, and I'm not saying he's not. I'm just saying this seems a little weird. The timing is strange to me.
Yeah, so like I said, lots of questions. Do you think it's the wide receiver room as a whole, just like the bottom half of it they're not confident in, they don't like them, People's not working out. They're finally going to cut off Kadarius Toney.
Right.
Do you think they're going to try to trade off him or Sky Moore for a draft pick? Are they tired of McCole Hardman? I highly doubt it. I think if they're bringing back people like Juju because Brett Veach has separation issues,
yes,
he would rather cut off his left arm than get rid of McCole Hardman at this
100%. He's never cutting McCole Hardman. I think with Juju on the team, it's almost a complete lock for McCole Hardman because this just shows that they want familiarity. Like, they're not willing to try nothing new. So you guys that wanted Nico Remigio, I'm sorry, but I think he's going to be gone.
Yeah.
He's going to the practice squad, and if somebody poaches him, they do. Justin Ross, goodbye Justin Ross. He's going to the practice squad, and somebody probably will pick him up. I think it would be a miracle if he slides through without somebody like the Chargers or the Bills or the Bengals. Somebody like that just wants to come in, stick it to the Chiefs, and that's what they'll do. Somebody that needs that big X receiver, and that'll use them. But I think people are crazy. People are wanting Cornell Powell to get a shot. Montrell Washington. It's not happening now.
Well,
Juju essentially shut that, like he slammed that door shut.
He slammed the door on a lot of things. And that's the thing. Like, I'm a fan of Juju. I actually like the guy. I liked when he was with the Chiefs.
Right. I don't think it's a bad signing
No,
per se. It
I
raises
like
the
him.
floor.
I mean, we
It's
were
just
wanting
weird.
him the first time they signed him. We were like pounding the table for him then, like, let's go get this kid. And I'm cool with him being here. Like I said, I'm a fan. But at the same time, I do think it kind of is unnecessary. Exactly what you're talking about, right? So you're kind of shutting the door on the young guys to even prove themselves. So you put Juju in here, and that automatically puts him right in the middle of the pack around Justin Watson, right?
Yeah, he's 4
and then,
or 5.
And then McCole Hardman's not going anywhere. Brett Veach would rather give up his left nut than get rid of McCole Hardman. So, I mean, it's like, I think that it really hurts Justin Ross, Sky, either of them two ever developing here. I think it's out the window. So that's
out.
Jeez. And then of course people talking about Nico Remigio. Like, bro, we're talking about if Kadarius Toney can make the team. You think
If
Nico's going to make the
slides
team?
onto this team as wide receiver 7, I would honestly be speechless.
Yeah, me too at this point, because I don't feel like that's what they're trying to go with. I don't think they're going for young, promising. I think that's not what they're doing. They're like, hey, who's been here before and knows the offense? Let's just do that.
Yeah, I think so too. At this point, I wish they would just trade Sky Moore. I wish they would trade him or wish they'd cut him. Just get rid of him.
Justin Ross too.
Justin Ross as well. Those two are never going to be able to develop here. And a lot of people will say, oh, well, they suck. They're never going to develop. Well, let's see them go somewhere else, because I guarantee you both would probably do better in other systems.
Yeah.
But get them out, because what's the point? There's really no point in having them here at this. I would rather have Kadarius Toney right now than even those two, because why? If you're going for just high ceiling guys and you're not willing to develop people, which we don't seem to be, then what's the point? Like, bring in the familiar guys, bring in guys you think are reliable, which I don't see how you can think Juju is reliable or Kadarius Toney is reliable, to be honest. You can't even say Sky Moore's reliable, because he's never put together even back-to-back games that are good. Yeah, he's not put together back-to-back plays. So, look, there's so much here. Justin Ross is out here against the Bears in preseason game number 3, and he don't even know where to line up. Okay, so he's out the door. Nico has kind of just not been great. He had a big chance this preseason with all these games, and
Nico is what he is, right? Nico's a guy that's like a mid-level athlete for a professional status. You know what I'm saying? Like, he wasn't a big athlete coming out of college.
Who squandered their chances the most this preseason?
Nobody, obviously. I don't think they had a chance. Like,
yeah,
and we've talked about that before.
We've talked about that plenty of times. We think that they always know what they're going to do, and they let everybody think that there's something there.
Yeah, I don't think they had a chance, bro. I think.
Do you think they were looking to sign? I heard today that Matt Nagy was the reason Juju. That Matt Nagy's been pounding the table ever since Juju got cut, and that is why he's in. So Matt Nagy's word is apparently a lot more prominent than
you think that's
Dave
really
Tobe,
why? You think
who's
that's
the
really
assistant
why?
head coach.
You think that's really why?
It's just been reported. It's been reported. So who knows? It's coming out of the beat writers. It's coming out of people that's closest to him. So I'm not going to argue it.
Right. So, I mean, there's just a million different ways this could go. But it really does mess with the 53-man roster and what's going to happen in that wide receiver room and that depth chart. Speaking of, we're going to do our 53-man roster projection today. Covey's in the house with the 5-bomb real quick. Let's get to this before we get into the 53-man. He says, it also doesn't help Ross's case that Wentz is the only one that will throw it up to him and let him make a play like he should be used 100%. Covey. I mean, that's the thing. Ross got a lot of opportunities when Wentz was in the game. We saw that, and he can make some of those plays. Mahomes don't throw those balls.
Mahomes has never had a receiver to ever have trust in throwing those balls.
Well, I don't think Mahomes is not a moon ball thrower anyway. He just never has.
No, he would kind of do that with Tyreek Hill. And Tyreek Hill would come down with a few of them, but it was never one of those just like jump ball back to the end zone kind of things.
Right. Well, appreciate the 5, Covey. Y'all put some legendaries in the chat for him supporting
let's get to the
the
53
freaking
man.
channel.
Daggone.
Let's go. Let's do the 53 man. Go ahead.
Here we go. Quarterbacks, Mahomes and Wentz. I mean, come on. If anybody didn't know this was happening, you're
Where's
slapping
Ian
up.
Book?
I don't know.
The hell,
Ian Book
bro?
is somewhere. He's probably on vacation right about now. So let's get to running back. So look, we only have 2 running backs listed, Pacheco and Clyde. Now you're going to say, well, what about Carson Steele? Well, technically he is a halfback, but they've got him listed as a fullback, so we're counting it as a fullback. So that basically, Steve, puts us three guys that can run the ball. Let's put it that way.
I
Because
feel like it's weak, though. Don't you?
it is weak. I do believe it's weak. I just don't believe Deneric Prince did enough to get on this roster.
I don't either.
Could he? It's possible. But Amani Bailey didn't do it. Keontae Ingram couldn't do it. Louis Rees-Zammond's not doing it.
Well, I mean,
they're either going to have to go out and get somebody,
I think that might be what they're doing
or
because
they're rolling with these 3.
Because this would be way off the beaten path of what the Chiefs have done in the last few years. They always take about 4 total. They like having that protection just in case somebody goes down. You got Isaiah Pacheco, who's already had his shoulder surgery and tends to get nicked up here and there because of his run style. You have Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who can't
What
even.
is this creepy picture of Carson Steele, by the way? Why does he look like Fabio?
You have Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who's not even remotely consistent enough to play at practice, let alone in every game. So you have them 2, and then you have a fullback. Like, I don't think that's how this is going to roll. So I think they're definitely going to be looking
Andy doesn't
at other preseason
see
cuts.
Carson Steele is only a fullback.
I get that.
They're
but I'm
very
just saying,
comfortable letting him run.
Okay, cool. But you still need more than 2.
That's 3,
right.
essentially.
But
That's
if one
what they
goes
took
down,
last year.
you have 2. That's all
Well,
I'm
they took
saying.
3 last year. That's all I'm saying. So I don't think it's that far out of the question.
I don't know. We'll see.
Steve, they took 3 halfbacks last year. We're
No, I'm
taking
just
3
saying, I
this
think-
year. I don't see how it's that big of a deal.
I'm not trying to argue that with you. I'm saying I think they might go look for somebody like a cut.
No, I totally agree. I think
Yeah.
they could maybe go look at a Miles Sanders. Somebody was rumored to get cut today that I thought they might look at. Was it Matt Breida? They were talking about maybe cutting him, or he did get cut.
Yeah.
That could be something. But
Talk about a guy that never panned out.
right. So, for all we know, Brett Veach is about to re-sign Jerick McKinnon any day now. Okay, that's probably what's going to happen, and everybody will love it. Steve, tight ends. We take Kelsey Gray and Wiley. Irv Smith not on the list. Irv Smith could be on the list. There's an interchangeable lineman. So offensive line, we wanted to take 10 because we felt they needed the depth, and they do usually take 10. But there was the 10th, and I'll go ahead and just bring up the lineman with it. The lineman with it is Humphrey, Smith, Tooney, Sumatea, Taylor, Morris, Caliendo, Niang, Norzad, and we took Hansen. And so C.J. Hansen would be the guy that I believe that Wiley's alternating with. Not Wiley, I'm sorry. That Irv Smith is alternating with. So do you like the C.J. Hansen over Irv Smith, or what do you think? Or do you just think it's a crapshoot, like it's just 50-50 at this point?
I mean, Mike, when we came up with this, it was kind of like we both had like a projection. We talked about it. We talked it out. I put Irv Smith over C.J. Hansen, and we kind of discussed
Right.
it. And
I
then
put C.J. Hansen over him because
Right.
I thought he showed good signs of being able to like pull,
Right.
do good in the run game.
To me, I feel like he's an obvious practice squad guy. But I mean, that could just be me. Like none of the backup offensive linemen really showed up in the preseason. They really didn't.
By the way, so if you take C.J. Hansen off, okay, I get it. I think Norzak can play all 3 spots, and Caliendo's playing all 3 spots.
Correct.
I guess
Wanye plays.
could probably play technically like 4 to 5 spots on the line.
He's
But
not going to play
just-
center, but he can do everything else.
That's what I'm saying. So, I mean, I guess you feasibly could take C.J. Hansen off. But I just don't see what Irv Smith honestly offers you.
Yeah, he's just another pass catcher. That's all he is, and that's what I was saying. I think that's why we decided to go with C.J. Hansen. It was because Irv Smith's like somebody you could use maybe in a red zone, but I mean, isn't Jared Wiley going to be that? And like, I just don't know.
Yeah, I think Jared Wiley kind of effectively gets rid of anything Irv Smith can do. I think keeping Carson Steele effectively takes away that H-back, fullback role. Noah Gray can also do that. So I just don't see the reasoning why you would have to give up C.J. Hansen. But again, it's just practice squad and they just rotate. I don't think anybody's going to snake C.J. Hansen. I don't think anybody would snake Irv Smith off the practice squad.
I don't think there's
either.
any surprises on any of these so far, though. I mean, even with C.J. Hansen on the squad. So.
Right. Okay, well, let's get to receivers. Here's the big one. Rashee Rice, Hollywood, Xavier Worthy. Juju has now made it, and Watson's basically a lock. We think Sky Moore was the lock at number 5 before they got Juju, and so I still think he's a lock at number 6, and that makes number 7 Mecole Hardman, Steve. We don't think they're getting rid of Mecole Hardman. That means Nico Remigio's out the door. Montrell Washington's not getting a shot. Phillip Brooks,
Ross.
not getting a shot. Justin Ross, not getting a shot. You name it, they're not getting a shot.
Kadarius Toney's gone.
Yeah, it looks like Kadarius Toney might be gone.
Like,
Now,
and
look,
it's-
would they swap Kadarius Toney for Mecole Hardman? It's also still a possibility.
Dude, there's lots of different things that go here. This is impossible to call at this point because, like, the way they think about things and the way they approach things so strange. Like, bringing back Juju in really muddied the waters up. We had it different, and obviously we had to change it for that. But, like, here's the thing about it. Sky Moore could easily be gone. We thought he's a lock at 5, and I still think he might be a lock on the roster. I don't see why he wouldn't be the way they used him in the preseason, the way they talked about him. I almost feel like he's going to be there. But he could be one of those guys they're trying to get rid of for draft capital. Or it could be Kadarius Toney. That could be interchangeable.
Right. Well, look, you can't foresee the future
Right.
of a draft projection or whatever. So, I mean, obviously, if there's no trades, if there's nothing else, I still think that this – honestly, I don't think this is the best 7 guys you could go with.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't. I think that there's 7 better guys you could feasibly pick from, but
right,
this is
but that
what we think
wasn't
Chiefs
the
will do.
exercise, right?
Exactly. And again, that's where people will attack us. I can't believe you guys didn't put this guy on the roster. I can't believe you guys took him or you didn't take him. And it's like, well, I didn't do that. This
just
is what I
thinking,
believe
yeah.
the Chiefs will do.
Yeah, what they might do. This is what I think.
People do not ever understand that.
I
one.
think Kadarius Toney could still very well make it. It wouldn't surprise me a bit. If
No,
they
it
decided
wouldn't
to go with
surprise
him.
me.
To me, I mean, here, let me ask you a question.
But look, Rice, Brown, and Worthy are not going nowhere. We've already seen Watson's not either. You didn't sign Juju to cut him a day later. So your top 5 is set in stone, Steve. So what kind of combinations could you possibly have?
Endless. But I was going to ask you a question. Like Mecole Hardman being at the bottom of the barrel there, right? Like, would it really bother you that much if they let Mecole walk? Because I know it wouldn't me.
No. Chiefs Kingdom would collectively have a hemorrhoid.
Right, but I mean, if
They
were
love
to put,
Mecole Hardman. I don't
if
know
they
why
were to
he's
put
so
in
valued.
Kadarius Toney there,
Right.
like
I don't care.
like, well, yeah, what would you? How would you rather that go down?
I would rather have Kadarius Toney over Mecole Hardman.
Okay, that's what I was asking.
Like, to me, I don't think I think Mecole Hardman is very limited on what he can give you. Does he give you somewhat of knowledge of the playbook and a little bit of something with Mahomes? Yeah, I guess so. Did he see his best season in the NFL 4 years ago? Yes. Is he getting back to it? No. With a wide receiver room this deep, he's not doing that either. Now, again, people's going to say, well, who's going to return kickoffs and punts? I think there's plenty of people that can do it. If you wanted, Xavier Worthy could do it. I'm pretty sure Sky Moore can now do that. Like, we've seen him do it. You
Yeah.
probably are going to
Well,
be using
running
some of these
backs,
running
too.
backs.
Yeah.
Yeah, Carson Steele's probably a good candidate to do that. If you have to, you can dig into your corners, and people like that can return kicks and things. Like, I don't keep any spot based on a special teams player.
No, I don't think there's one. That's why LRZ's not making the team, right?
Well, this is probably why Dave Tobe lost with the Nico Remigio battle, if he did lose it. Which it looks like he's probably
Dude,
lost it.
I would be shocked.
Well, let's get on to the defense,
I'd
because
be
I'm
shocked
literally
if he
look.
made
I'm
it.
already sick and tired of talking about this stupid wide receiver room. Brett Veach knows how to take away all the fun. Okay, he knows how to take away all the fun because now he just puts another guaranteed player, and it gives you less excitement of who's going to actually crack the squad. So, like, instead of getting 3 presumable cracks at it, we're getting like 1.
There you go, Mike.
I wouldn't be surprised at this point. Let's just be honest.
Sign them all back up, man. Why not?
Get Kareem Hunt back on the phone. Oh, we talked about that. We don't think he's as horned over Kareem Hunt because he wasn't in charge there. That's more of
A Dorsey guy.
a Dorsey guy. So we think that all you Kareem Hunt truthers out there, it's because Brett Veach just didn't really, it wasn't his man. He don't have to Enos Delmar him. But let's get to the defense, Steve. Defensive tackles. We got Chris Jones, Derek Nottie, Turk Wharton, and Mike Pinnell. And to be honest, I didn't want to put Derek Nottie on this stupid list. And this is another Brett Veach can't quit somebody. Derek Nottie should not have been signed back for a 1 year. He shouldn't have done it. He was injured the entire preseason. He didn't play well versus the third and fourth stringers against the Bears, but yet Andy Reid come out and praised him after it was over with, which pretty much guarantees that if he's praising him after the last game, he's probably like, they really want him. Honestly, I thought Matt Dickerson, and I never thought I'd say this, but Matt Dickerson
He could
probably
still make
outplayed
it.
him, and Neil Farrell both.
I think
deserved that spot.
five defensive tackles is not out of the realm of possibility. So I
No,
still
it's
think it
not.
could be. And I also think I would prefer Neil Farrell Jr. to try to see if that guy can get up to speed because
Yeah.
I feel like him at the top of his game, there's no way he's any worse than Derek Nottie. So it's like, I'm with you. It's still one of those things where they're sticking with the familiarity. But yeah, I like Neil Farrell Jr. and I
do
like
think-
Matt Dickerson.
Yeah, I do think Dickerson or Farrell gets on, and then that's probably going to knock off one of these defensive ends. Well, actually, I don't think it will knock off a defensive end because I
No.
think they take all these. Truman Jones might be the one that is very sus here.
He's cashing in on Charles Omenihu being on the PUP list, right?
Right.
That's all that
Karlaftis
is.
Dana, FAU, Malik Herring, Truman Jones, by the way. Steve, Felix and Udike Uzoma has looked like trash. Look, as much as
He got to
he
get it
started,
together, bro.
yeah, as much as he started out looking decent in the first few practices, when it come to games, he just kind of disappeared. Again, there was more footage of him against the Bears. The quarterback's got the ball. Everybody on the field is moving, and Felix has such a slow reaction. He didn't even got out of his stance yet. And he's supposed to be a pass rusher,
Right.
and you didn't even got out of your stance, bro.
I'm confused by Felix. I'm not gonna lie. Like college tape, like Felix was good. We thought Felix was good. Now
Right.
taking him at the end of the first round, that was questionable. We didn't really have him graded at round one guy.
Steve, the Chiefs always overdraft.
They do. But I still thought he'd be a decent player. I didn't think he's going to be like anything like groundbreaking. He wasn't going to be freaking Aiden Hutchinson or anything. But I thought he was a guy that could be an effective pass rusher in the NFL slowly. Like I didn't think he'd come out right
Still
off the
could
bat.
be. Still could be.
Yeah, I suppose. But so far, I mean, Felix just don't look like he's it.
He's struggling with some of the things that he shouldn't be struggling with at this point. But look, I'll say this.
I'm still going to give him some grace, though.
He's on the team. There's
Right.
no way they cut him.
No.
Okay. Malik Herring, Truman Jones. Honestly, I think Jones has outplayed Herring in the preseason. So if they only want to take 4 here, that could be a big battle. Steve, I said this all off season. We needed help on the defensive line. And I think it's now proven that I was correct. That when you look at this and you say, okay, look, Derek Nottie's your 4, and then you're fighting over Farrell and Matt Dickerson, and then on your defensive end, you've got Malik Herring and Truman Jones, and underperforming Felix Anudike Uzama. That's some of your best pass rushing right there. Like, we couldn't have made any effort to go get anything on the defensive line.
A while back, somebody asked if we were going to miss L'Jarius Sneed, and we talked about that for a while. And I think the reason why a lot of people are going to miss L'Jarius Sneed is not because our corners can't step up and do the job. It's because our pass rush has regressed. Like, we don't have that great of a pass rush. We're not going to be putting that much pressure on the quarterbacks, which is going to make the corners' jobs 10 times harder.
I mean, it's essentially the same as last year's pass rush.
Yeah, well, I mean, with we had a healthy Charles Omenihu, that's going to change the game up a little bit.
That'll help. I just don't look. I don't see Felix actually improving that much this year. We said we thought his like ceiling this year was what, 8 sacks?
Yeah, I mean, he's only in his second year. I mean, you can't
Right.
get too crazy on
I think
Felix
George
yet,
Karlaftis.
but
I think George Karlaftis has a good year this year. I think George Karlaftis goes off. I think this is his best year he has.
well, I mean, he's done nothing but get better since he got there, right?
Right, and I think Dana has a pretty good year as well. Look, you know what you're going to get from Felix and Malik Herring and Truman Jones. It's just very serviceable rotation, and it's nothing to write home about. Charles Omenihu does help, but again, how effective is he going to be coming off of this, and when does he actually start playing? And then with the defensive tackles, look, Turk is decently serviceable, but he's not like a game wrecker. Mike Pinnell's great in the run game. Derek Nottie has always just underperformed since he's been in the league. And then Chris Jones is awesome. He's also pushing over 30 years old. So at some point, he's naturally going to slow down. Now, I don't think it's going to be this year, next year. It's probably going to be in 3 or 4.
Soon, no.
But I'm just saying, like, there's not a lot of, like, elite guys there on the defensive line. And that's a big thing, man. You win in the trenches.
If you've noticed, I mean, Veach, kind of the way he manages this team is he kind of goes in positions. So if he actually gets this wide receiver room kind of where he wants it, he's got his cornerbacks kind of where he's wanted.
Maybe
that could be what the next project is for him. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Let's go to linebacker, man. Linebacker, we've got 6, and they took 6 last year. We took Bolton, Tranquil, Chanel, Jack Cochran, and we took Cam Jones and Cole Christensen. And a lot of people are going to be irritated because we didn't take Curtis Jacobs. I wanted to put Curtis Jacobs on this list, but let's be completely honest. Cam Jones is out snapping him the entire preseason on special teams, okay?
Yeah.
And I know Cam Jones is another middle linebacker. So you've essentially got 3 middle linebackers and maybe a 4th because Drew Tranquil can play middle if you ever needed him in a pinch. So Cochran actually, I think, is the backup Mike. But they like Cam Jones. They like what he does on special teams. And he has a leg up because he made the team last year. Cole Christensen's one that you could maybe knock off, Steve. But Cole Christensen was one that actually played well during the preseason. Every time he got a chance, Cole Christensen looked pretty good. So I think we give him the nod over the rookie. Could that be wrong? Absolutely, it could be wrong. They could come out and take Curtis Jacobs, or they could only just take 5.
Right.
Well, so it could be Christensen, Jones, and Jacobs are your 3 rotational guys there.
Well, Christensen's weakness is like coverage, right? I mean, like he's more of a downhill player to me. He's making great tackles. He diagnoses things well, but he's just not the greatest cover linebacker. He's not. But I don't know if that really hurts him in this position. And also, they like to take 6 linebackers. They love having these guys on special teams. So this would not surprise me at all.
Right. And I mean, that's not saying Jacobs can't play special teams. Jacobs can definitely play special teams.
I don't think there's much of I mean, that could go either way.
Yeah.
Jacobs, I think he could probably be safe on the practice squad too, and that'd be a good spot for him to develop a little bit more. Obviously, we've noticed that if you put guys on the roster that need to develop, that they're automatically, shunned. So I think if you put him on the practice squad and he's safe there, then let him develop there.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think many of these guys play a lot of snaps outside of your top 3, and possibly Cochran and Jones and Christensen.
Nick Bolton, I love Nick Bolton, and I think he's one of the best linebackers in the league. I love these. He's the green dot.
Yeah,
Spags
well, that's why
Cochran.
That's why Cochran's making this team.
But damn, man, I mean, he does get hurt a little more than I'd like.
They like Cochran. Okay, man. Well, let's jump on to corner. Corner, we're taking what is it, 6?
Yeah.
And you'll notice McDuffie, Williams, Watson, but we have Chamari Connor listed as a corner, not a safety. Why? Because they actually have him listed as a DB on the depth chart. So we think that maybe they're going to try to sneak him on as a corner and free up another spot for another safety. That puts Najee and Nick Jones making the team, Steve, and that leaves off Kelvin Joseph, the guy they brought in the offseason.
Right.
That leads off Keith Taylor, who, by the way, I think he's a dark horse to make the team because for some reason they like him. Kamal Haddon, your boy, the draft pick out of Tennessee, not on here, but
Echo Boydo. There's a lot.
These guys didn't get to play a lot in the preseason, right? Like Keith Taylor was the one that played the most, so he could feasibly. Taylor
I don't
probably
think so.
Could be the next guy up if Connor does get listed as a safety.
I got Khalif Hallisey vibes from the Taylor play, like snap count, and it's not because they play anything alike. And obviously, Hallisey was a much better corner than Taylor, but I don't. I think that's kind of what it was. They're trying to see what they got. I don't think he makes this roster. I don't, especially over like somebody they just drafted in Kamal Haddon.
I think it's odd we didn't get to see Kamal Haddon more. in the preseason.
Yeah, well, Nick Jones is another one. Like, the only reason I kind of put him on the roster was because of what Spags has to say. I kind of listen to what he says and who he talks about. And at first I thought Nick Jones, obviously he was a 7th-round draft pick. And he didn't even play last year most of the time because of his broken hand or something. But, I mean, I don't know. Spags seems to like what he's doing. So that's just where we're at with this.
Well, I feel like if you were on the roster last year, you probably got a little bit of a leg up to make it this year. I just think that's just the way it goes, right?
With all that being said, though, if one of these guys that we have off the roster right now were to make it, I give the nod to Haddon. I think that would be the guy. Like, to me, I feel like it's not much different, but they have invested a little bit more in him than they have some of these other guys, even Nick Jones.
Yeah, I think Kelvin Joseph is right there knocking at the
Kelvin
door. But
Joseph,
I don't think he done enough in that preseason game. Like, he kind of squandered his
I feel like it's tough
chances
for
a little
him.
bit.
It's tough for that guy, right? Because he has to reprove himself because he was a good corner in college at Kentucky, but when he was with Dallas, he sucked. He was terrible. He got burnt all the time. He was a liability. So he had to kind of reprove himself and then make another roster. That seems like a tougher hill to climb than I just got drafted.
Yep, that was a tall task.
Yeah.
But look, I'm with you. I think that's probably, is it the best? Is that the best 6? Arguably so. Yeah. I mean, look, I don't think there's much. Honestly, I think Nick Jones and Kamal Haddon are pretty similar. Jones is going to play more of the slot, by the way, where Taylor's going to play more on the edge. So if they really do think there's a problem with Williams, Watson, or Nazee's health, it's very possible, Steve, they do take a Keith Taylor or a Kelvin Joseph there. Because Chamari and Trent McDuffie are going to be rotating in and out of the slot, and Nick Jones plays a lot of slot as well. So we'll see. And then we also drafted Jaden Hicks, which gets us into the safeties. We've got Justin Reed, Brian Cook, Jaden Hicks, and Deion Bush. Steve, Bush slid on here because of Chamari Connor being listed as a DB, not a safety, and Deion Bush also does a lot with special teams. So
right, that's all it is.
But look, if Connor does get listed as a safety, he goes back there, Bush falls off, and then, like you said, it's Haddon or Joseph or Keith Taylor it slides in.
Right.
Now, it is also feasible that they decide to not take 6 linebackers. They could take 5 and take an extra corner, or they could take 5 and take an extra defensive tackle. What you do realize is when you're doing exercises like this and you're picking 53,
it's tough.
You've got about 10 to 12 guys at the bottom of your roster in all different positions, and those 12 guys are fighting for about 3 total spots.
Right.
That's the weird thing.
At a certain point, I don't think that the coaching staff and Brett Veach and his staff look at this and say, well, we have to have 6 linebackers. I don't think that's ever in the cards. Like,
right.
Obviously, there's a minimum, but I think at a certain point, it's like, who's the best 53 guys we have? And I'm with you with the safeties, with Bush. I think he makes it just because, A, they love him in special teams, and he always does well, but he's had to play back there at safety, and he's done well. I mean, he had an interception in the AFC Championship game. I mean, the kid can play, so that could go a lot of different ways. If they decide to put Chamari Connor on as a safety, and it opens up another spot in the cornerback room, then I think they look towards Haddon. I think he's more of an outside guy. You were talking about how there's a lot of guys that can play that nickel, and they'll probably want to keep playing Trent McDuffie in the nickel somewhat because he's damn good at it. So I think that they're going to look for more guys that can cover on the outside there. I think Haddon fits that script a little better.
Okay. Well, I'm fine with it. Obviously, special teams, we all know who's making the special teams. It's Butker, Ariza, and James Winchester. And then on the IR, we've got Charles Omenihu going on the PUP, BJ Thompson on the NFI list. Steve, is there any way they start Hollywood Brown on the IR and just count him out for 4 weeks?
It's a possibility. I mean, if he's going to be out the entire 6 weeks, that would put him out at least 2 games in the regular season, I think.
Yeah.
So maybe they're like, well, let's just go ahead and put him on the IR. But I really don't think it's necessary. I don't. And they have 27 guys in the wide receiver room right now, so I don't know what it would matter if you could have somebody different there for a couple of weeks. I just don't see it.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree with that too. But let us know what you think about that 53. It was a little odd. Again, we had it a certain way yesterday, and then the news of Juju blew it up this morning. We had to redo it again. So it made it a little different, but that's the way it is. That's the way we see it. Let us know what you guys think. And we appreciate you guys for being here, by the way. So go ahead and hit that like button. If you haven't, hit the subscribe button if you haven't done that yet. And we just want to take a minute to shout out BetUS for sponsoring this video, by the way. We partnered with BetUS this season to bring you the greatest book on the planet, baby. BetUS is currently offering a 125% sign-up bonus on up to $2,000 on your first 3 deposit. That's right. Not only do they have the fastest payouts, but they also have the fastest and easiest withdrawal process to get those winnings ASAP. So don't be a slapnut and miss out on these great offers. Check out our BetUS link in the description or the pinned comment below, baby.
Let's go. Go do it.
Appreciate you guys. Yeah, Steve, I don't know exactly what's going to happen with the 53. I really don't. Like, we're just taking our best guesses. And that Juju signing this morning was so far out of left field. I think that just proves how much these roster cuts are going to be out of left field, too.
It was out of left field, but, like, it's not at the same time. Like, I think we all kind of thought that could be a possibility ever since he got cut in New England.
Maybe so, but didn't you think it would have happened more a week ago?
Timing's weird. I will say that. But the timing makes me think that they're just not confident in the bottom half. Like I think they have so many options there. Like we've talked about them all off season. But I think they've gone through the same scenario as we all have. And they're just like, you know what? I'd rather just raise the floor a little bit.
Right.
And I think that's what Juju does. He just raises the floor a little.
Right. Steve Omar says, I think we need help at the corner position. We have McDuffie, and that's it. I
get it.
I think that's selling a lot of people short, though.
It is.
Brett Veach was highly regarded as hitting so many corners in that one specific draft with Jalen Watson and Josh Williams and Najee Johnson and then Nick Jones. Everybody liked him last year. And then these are the same guys that played well last year with Snead. Trent McDuffie was not a cornerback 2 per se last year. He did not guard on the outside. He was a strict slot corner. He played that almost 60-70% of the time.
Right. Well, I think that kind of goes into what Omar's saying too.
Well, like, I mean, yeah, I totally agree.
I think a lot of people
corner 1 might be more of a problem than corner 2.
Correct. That's what I'm getting at. And I think that a lot of people were wanting to go sign a veteran cornerback as opposed to a veteran wide receiver.
Steve, this is solved. If they just said, look, McDuffie's it. He is the direct L'Jarius Sneed replacement. He's going to shadow number 1. He's going to play on the outside 95% of the time like Sneed did. But they're not committing to that. Because why? We've always said this. McDuffie is matchup dependent in a way. Bigger guys will eat his lunch. And there's nothing he can physically do about that. Technique only goes a certain way. This is why they say you can't teach size, speed, and intangibles. Right. Sometimes you just can't do nothing about it. We've seen last year that a backup quarterback threw a perfect ball in the preseason over and over again against McDuffie to A.T. Perry, and A.T. Perry essentially destroyed McDuffie down the entire drive. And there was nothing he could do about it. He was in his hip pocket, and the dude's still just like jumping 10 feet in the air and catching fingertip balls.
Right.
It's just, so to me, I think when you say there's a corner 2 problem, there's not. We had these same corners last year playing corner 2, and they were completely fine. So you have a corner 1 problem. If McDuffie can't play on the outside and you can't let these same guys play on theirs, and then you let Jamari Conner and Nick Jones man the slot, and you want to keep putting McDuffie in the slot because, well, he's better at the slot, well, then you drafted in the first round a slot nickel corner. You did not draft.
I don't think that's what's going to happen, though, honestly.
This is what they're saying, though.
Yeah, I think McDuffie's going to have to get out there on the edge, and I think he'll be fine. I really do. Like you said,
I don't think he's got tons of problems, but
none. He's always in their hip pocket. It's just like if there's a perfectly thrown ball to a bigger receiver, they're probably going to catch it.
And again,
because there's not much he can do about it.
Pass rush has to get there. And again, we're kind of weak on pass rush. So if you're going to have more time to sit in the pocket and make more accurate throws,
right? But there's nothing I'm not hitting the panic button about anything. As far as defense, I think we are a little weak on pass rush, and I kind of feel I get the sentiment from Omar here. I get that, but at the same time, you also have to remember that Joshua Williams, Jalen Watson, they got thrown out in the fire like right off the bat. So they've been in it. I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, I think they will too.
Man, but this is crazy. I think people need to hold on to their seats because now that we know Brett Veach is on the phones making moves, bringing in Juju, I mean, who knows what they're trying to make a trade for, who they're trying to make a trade for, draft capital, a corner. Like, there could be so many different things going on. We have no clue.
Yeah, for sure. Doug says, what's your expectation for Leo Chenal this season, Steve? I think Leo's going to have a pretty good year. I think this is probably going to be his best year.
Yeah, for sure. Leo's just like George in a way, where they're just like workhorses, and they're going to keep improving. They've been improving so far, and I think they're going to continue to be on the uptrend for sure.
Yeah, I think Leo's going to have a great year. I think it's going to be better. I think maybe Leo can help alleviate even some of the defensive end problems. I think that he could actually get down and do some pass rushing off the edge if need be. So,
yeah.
Something like that. I think you'll have a pretty good year, Doug. Thanks for the question.
Yeah. Witchy says 24 hours until final roster cuts. The league goes into mayhem mode, or are most teams settled already? Like, it's funny because I think for the most part, most teams are always settled and they kind of know what they're going to do. I think the Chiefs are even normally like that, where, like, we've talked about that, Mike. Like, they kind of know who they want to go with before even the preseason. And it's hard for players to change their minds. And that's why you see people like Nico Remigio not making the roster. But this year, now that Brett Veach has gone out and decided to grab Juju before even roster cuts, I think that kind of puts a wrench in the gears, and it makes you wonder what the hell they're doing. Because, like I said, not opposed to the Juju signing, but it definitely brings up a boatload of questions for sure.
Yeah, well, we've already seen a flurry of moves, I'll say, not the craziest amount, but we did release Nick Torres, the offensive guard out of Villanova. We already got rid of Jaren Hayek, the wide receiver out of Villanova. There's a few more that they've actually got rid of. So they've got a list, and now they're just going to peck them off, one at a time, and it's going to get leaked to the media one at a time. But some of these teams out here have already been going. The Bucks just announced they released Sterling Shepard off their roster. So he's done. The Bengals announced 3 days ago that they cut, I think, 10 guys 3 days ago. So the majority of these teams know, and this kind of goes into what me and Steve were saying, that I think a lot of these teams know exactly what their roster is going to be, and they're maybe looking at 1 to 2 spots that they're going to give chances to. I think Khalif Hallisey showed that last year.
Yeah, for sure, because he did enough. Everyone thought he did enough to make the roster, and he just didn't. So, yeah, man. So it's going to be pretty crazy the next few days, I think. Well, next day. Like, it's literally tomorrow's the roster cuts, right?
Yeah.
Do you think we hear any more today, or do you think they're just going to kind of drop it all at one time? What do you think?
They'll continue to do roster cuts, in my opinion. I think they'll continue to leak out. I some of the guys towards the bottom. So, for example, Ian Book, Nick Torres, Jaren Hayek. They got rid of, Kyle Sheets got waived today. Slippery Rock's finest, Kyle Sheets, who, by the way, got robbed of a touchdown versus the Bears. They've also waived Alex Gubner out of Montana, the defensive tackle.
Gubner.
So you're going to see some guys starting to be, waived. That it's just, I don't think they're going to wait to the very end to do anything. But I do think, if I'm not mistaken, Steve, last year we went live and was doing some roster cuts live, and it was running all the way up until time to be done, and the Chiefs still hadn't made it public yet. So
yeah, they waited till the last minute. So
yeah,
I don't know, man. It'll be interesting. But once again, appreciate you guys being here today. Please hit that like button for us if you haven't already. And also just wanted to shout out BetUS one more time for sponsoring the live stream. But yeah, hold on to your seats, man. It's going to be a fun 24 hours. We'll see what's going on. It'll be nice to know who's going to be on this roster going forward. But I think maybe some more surprises could be headed our way.
Possibly some surprises. Definitely looking at that last wide receiver spot. Is it Hardman 100%? Is it KT? Are they going to give him one more shot? Do they have a trade in the works? We'll have to see, but we may be able to get on here tomorrow and do a little stuff. I don't know what the schedule looks like, but if not, we'll be back on tomorrow night for sure. We got a live plan. So, yeah, I guess we'll catch you guys then. Be sure to hit the like button on the way out. Appreciate you guys being here. Shout out BetUS. Steve, that's all I got for him.
Later.
There goes a sight from my soul.